Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everyone, or not see you. You're on Zoom. It is Sunday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you. And we're so excited to welcome Ryan Lavarnway to Macomb Solel Lakeside virtually. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him. I could go on really for the whole hour. There's so much to tell, but he's going to fill us in on other things as well. I have to tell you, Ryan, I love he's talking about his book, Baseball and Belonging. And he comes to us by the way of the Jewish Book Council. And this is in the book. Uh, as a child, Ryan Lavernway's confidence soared when he found a glove and ball in his hand. Off the field, he struggled to find where he belonged. I'm going to start crying. When Team Israel called, Ryan was thrilled to play baseball for a new kind of team. Playing in the World Baseball Classic and Olympics with his teammates changed his life. Nothing would ever be the same. By embracing his Jewish identity, Ryan found where he belonged. I just love that. Ryan also played for Yale, very impressive, and the Red Sox, and was on the 2013 World Series team. That went a long way in my household. So he has done so much. It's such a pleasure to have him here. And with no further ado, Ryan, please take it away.
Hi, Vanessa. Thank you so much. Nice to see everyone. If you are willing, I'd love to see your faces by turning your cameras on because then I can have the satisfaction of seeing some smiles and some heads nodding. That goes a long way. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you guys all being here.
Mark is an athletic director. I mean, we have some, very I mean, they're all congregants, but we have some really lovely people here. Oh, Alice, you look fine.
Hi, William. Thank you guys. So this was set up through the Jewish Book Council, and it's a children's book that I published. And most of the other events that I've done have been centered around 6-year-olds. But I did write this book after doing this spiel to adults. That was the basis of where the story came from. My history, you heard Vanessa say it a little bit. I grew up in Southern California. Thank you. There's the book available on Amazon. Oh, it looks like it's on sale, so there you go.
Oh, let's go, people. I'll put it in the chat.
I grew up in Southern California. My mother is Jewish and loves Christmas, and my father is Catholic and decided that organized religion was for the birds when he was 12 years old. So in my house, we celebrated all of the holidays with no God in our house. It was just Hallmark holidays. And as I started to grow up and come into my own, I really started wanting to have more meaning behind things. So I started searching for who I am, why we do things. And it wasn't until I played for Team Israel that I really leaned into my Jewish side. I can admit it now. I was a little embarrassed about this for a long time, but in elementary school, when kids were bullies or they would say mean things to you, I would shy away from my Judaism and I would lean into well, I'm half Catholic and I'm only half Jewish because that anti-Semitism hurt too much to embrace at the time. And I can admit that now because now I'm very proud and loud as a Jewish man, and that changed through playing for Team Israel. When I played for Team Israel the first time, it was 2016 in the World Baseball Classic qualifier, and they actually brought us to Israel as a group. That was my first time being in Israel, and that trip is what changed my life. Really being around, I mean, if any of you have been to Israel, I think you know it's a pretty life-changing place, and I'm so grateful that I got to go. And then they filmed a documentary about that trip and about our team. And I traveled with the documentary to do Q&A sessions to hopefully get people to show up for the film and draw a little bit more attention. And those Q&A sessions were the beginning of me writing this book because all of the wonderful Jewish people in the audience, I think everyone here would agree, would love to offer me their free advice after the session. And their free advice was, you're really good at this. You're clearly passionate. You went to Yale, so you can speak English well. You communicate. You don't need this film to go do this speech. So that was the beginning of me doing public speaking. And then I shortly after that, I got on the Hillel circuit and I was going to college campuses all over. I was going to temples and JCCs all over, sharing my story about how I chose Judaism, how it wasn't easy, and how baseball that had kept me away from Judaism for so long, because I was always playing baseball on Saturdays and Sundays. Baseball ended up bringing me back to Judaism as a 28-year-old man. After I was on the adult speaking circuit, my rabbi here in Denver, who will always tell you that I am the second most famous baseball player he knows, because he did Alex Bregman's bar mitzvah. So he always rubs that in my face.
Who's your
But he was
rabbi in
telling me that,
Denver? Is it Rabbi Black?
yes, Rabbi Black. Yeah, he's the man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be telling him
He
in the
knows that I
morning.
give him grief about this. But he was the one who first told me that I should turn this into a kid's book. He said, listen, kids need to hear this story because kids don't always think Judaism is cool. Kids don't associate Judaism with athletics. Kids don't always think that Judaism can be a choice. And kids need an example, especially kids in mixed religion households like you were. They need an example of how you can choose Judaism, follow your passion, and end up finding where you belong. So every time I sign this book, I sign it, do what you love and find where you belong. And without further ado, I would love to read you this book that is clearly for a younger audience than everybody here, but that's okay. I'm sure you know children. I'm sure you have children, or that you have somebody that you could buy this book for. Support me through this book. It's on sale on Amazon, apparently. Oh, where did it go? I just had it loaded up.
Wait a minute. It might take a hot minute to.
That's all right. Can you see my screen now?
We see you. I don't
I'm
see
not
you
sharing my
sharing your
screen.
screen.
Okay.
Now we see you sharing your
Now you see
screen.
the screen?
Yeah, there we got it.
All right. So this should come up in a second. Every time it wants me to open it, it wants to reload it, but it should just take a sec. I had it open and it's fully prepared. My Apple Books doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. You still seeing it now?
Yeah, but it's with a lot of other books.
But are you seeing the book itself? Now it's open on my screen.
It's just no, now it all went away.
Here we go.
I can.
How about now?
Yes, we see it.
Wonderful. All right.
Aw.
Ryan was a brown-haired boy who grew up playing ball from the first pitch to the last. He played hard and gave his all. Leather gloves, spikes on feet, big number on his back. Long wooden bat in his hand, he swung hard and heard it whack. The game taught him how to hit, to catch and throw and run. It taught him how to win and lose, to share and always have fun. And this part's really personal to me because I actually started playing baseball when I was 5 years old because my kindergarten teacher told my parents that I was bad at sharing and that I needed to get involved in team sports. So that comment from my kindergarten teacher is why I started playing baseball in the first place.
Well, have you gone back to thank her?
You know what? My kindergarten teacher, we stayed in touch. She actually wrote one of my college letters of support also. So she's been awesome.
Okay.
Ryan loved his teammates and they hung out off the field. They talked about their lives and faith during celebrations and meals. Oftentimes, his teammates would invite him excitedly to join their church or temple and build community. Ryan has a Jewish mom and a Catholic dad. He felt like he had to pick one. He was confused and sad. And the first time I read this book ever in front of kids, it was actually for preschoolers at an elementary school here in Colorado. And when I read this page, I actually started tearing up a little bit because even through the whole writing process and even through all the speeches I had done, I didn't realize how vulnerable I was being in this moment of I really did feel like I didn't belong anywhere outside of my family of four and outside of my baseball team. I didn't feel like I was part of a larger community, and wasn't until later that I found that.
I love that picture with you're in front of the Hanukkah menorah with the Christmas tree and in front of the Christmas tree with the Hanukkah menorah on your t-shirts. It's just
Yeah,
it's great.
this was a fun one to create with my artist. We went back and forth a bunch of times.
Yeah.
I think this one is my favorite one in the whole book, and it shows up better in a full PDF than in the book with the folds. So I actually like this version better. His parents let him choose his path. They said you can be either, but thinking he was half and half made him feel like he was neither. The place he knew he did belong was on a baseball field. Religion felt uncertain, but to him, baseball felt real. Ryan kept avoiding faith and stuck to what he loved. He excelled on the field both with his bat and glove. Time passed, and he felt something was missing from his heart. He wanted faith and meaning. He wondered where to start. One day, he was asked to join a Jewish baseball team. In a worldwide tournament, it was the answer to his dreams. Ryan played for Israel, a place he barely knew. He went to the Holy Land and learned the history of the Jews. He saw Independence Hall, rode bikes in Tel Aviv. He went to the Western Wall and floated in the Dead Sea. He rode on a camel's back, took a Masada hike, paid tribute at Yad Vashem, and saw Jerusalem at night. At this point with the 6-year-olds, I always tell them that my camel's name was Pistachio, and that's a crowd favorite with the young kids. He met with Israeli kids who came from near and far. They looked up to the players like they were superstars. More than anything, he felt a growing sense of pride. People said, "You're one of us. Welcome to the tribe." And this page on the right here is where I got to sneak in all of my people. Can you see my mouse? So this is my wife
Yes,
right
yeah.
here.
Yeah.
This is Rabbi Black.
I was going to say I knew that was Joe Black. Yeah.
That's Rabbi Black, yep. And then my wife's grandparents and my little girl at the time, mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, sister-in-law, niece and nephew. And then this is my artist, his wife and son and his mom that had just passed. So a little fun little insight into what goes into the book. And then I actually this is my brother-in-law who was marrying my sister right as I was producing this book. So I thought it was funny to have him, who was the newest member of our tribe, hold the sign that said, "Welcome to the tribe."
Super clever.
The tournament started. The other teams were strong. No one thought Israel could win, but they were proven wrong. What skeptics didn't know was Israel had already won, making history as the first baseball team of chosen ones. A little more trivia you guys might not notice. This is actually a picture of the lineup card where in the dugout we used it, and our bench coach has really beautiful calligraphy handwriting, and he wrote the lineup card in Hebrew.
Oh,
And
very
so we
nice.
snuck that in there. Fans cheered when the players replaced their hats with kippot. Hatikva was their anthem. It filled their hearts with hope. Jewish fans around the world had a team to cheer for. By representing Israel, Ryan played for something more. And all these flags, these are the flags of the teams we beat in this tournament. Very intentionally done. Obviously, we didn't beat USA, but those are our 2 flags and the 4 teams we beat. Team Israel gave its all, and Ryan did the same. The team shocked the entire world and won its first 4 games. Team Israel had a following of fans from different faiths. People across the globe applauded when Team Israel took 6th place. And this picture of Josh and I, this was right after the first win of the WBC. Individual photos that we put together from the win against Korea. And then this dog pile over here, this is actually a picture from a different tournament when they qualified for the Olympics. And they were in blue uniforms and white pants, and we did a little editing, but cool Easter eggs that you guys are getting the insight into.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling half and half, Ryan finally felt whole. I am Jewish. I am proud. He could feel it in his soul. playing with Team Israel was just the very start. Ryan found where he belonged on the field and in his heart. And that's the end of the book. A little Easter egg of this one. This was the Red Sox World Series dog pile from 2013 that we did a little editing to. You might recognize this is Jonathan Papelbon. You have Junichi Tazawa here. You have John Lester here. Mike Karp, if you recognize these people, and then this is where David Ortiz was, but we switched it with my face. And then just for the back of the book, my editors thought it would be nice to have a definition of terms and further explanation for the young kids as they read it. What is Independence Hall? What's the history of the tournament and a little short history of Israel, the Masada hike, all the things we mentioned, the Dead Sea, Yad Vashem. So we tried to add a little educational piece there at the end. Again, very intentionally done. We put a lot of effort and time and thought into this book, and I'm really proud of how it turned out. And people have loved it. So if you get a chance, please pick up a copy. I appreciate the support. The $4 I earn from you buying it on Amazon, I appreciate it.
I think it's just so important, that book, for young kids, playing sports. I know in our congregation, we have a lot of kids who play sports, a lot. And trying to compete with a sport or whatever their activity is and learning Hebrew is always a challenge. And I think seeing this is just very, very gratifying and a wonderful way to go. Are you ready for some questions?
I am ready.
Woohoo! Okay, if you have a question, all right, Alice, I will unmute you. Go ahead, Alice.
Yeah, oh gosh, Ryan, this was so interesting for so many reasons. I'm a huge baseball fan. I grew up in the Chicago area. I'm a Cubs fan. So when you said John Lester, though I have friends that are Red Sox fans. So yeah, so that was one thing. But in terms of you coming to Judaism, I was just writing some notes while you were talking. Also, I have a 6-year-old grandson. I'm buying this book for him. And he comes from a family not unlike yours. His father had a Jewish father and a Catholic mother and grew up just like you did, celebrating all the holidays, Easter, Christmas, Passover, Rosh Hashanah, all of them. And then my daughter is Jewish and, she's married. So they're everything, they are also, because they respect both sides of their families. But this is what I wanted to say, what you said about coming to Judaism. In my everyday life, I see so much the importance of community. So I love that you talked about getting the community from playing baseball. And I also feel in many respects, a lot of Judaism, it's a lot of big ideas. And I think sometimes you have to grow into it. So I love that you grew into it. I just love everything. Thank you. Bravo. Thank you so much for bringing this to us.
I agree.
Thank you. I'm so glad you got something out of it.
Other questions? Okay, Arthur, this is our Boston person.
As a Red Sox fan, thank you for your service. So kind of relating to your book, but a little bit broader sense of how you found it. It's always struck me that baseball teams, major league teams, I guess minor league teams too, there's an incredible amount of diversity, not simply from different countries, different languages, but different religions, different political point of views, different levels of education, and so forth. So I'm wondering how the coaches, or maybe senior players, be it Terry Francona or Jason Veritek, how they went about trying to make everybody in the team feel like they belonged to the team.
I think so. That's a very interesting question, especially because this is always the question where I get to decide how honest I want to be. My experience on the Red Sox in particular, and I ended up playing for 8 different major league teams. The Red Sox at the time that I got called up was not particularly welcoming to rookies. So we had a very veteran team at the time, and I was this hotshot 23-year-old, which now that I'm 37, I can see that I might not have liked me at 23 either. So I can take some of my own responsibility, right? But there was very much a like, are you going to help us win? If you're not, get off the boat. We don't want you. We don't need you. We got everything we got. Jason Veritek was always very good to me, so I don't want to say anything bad about Jason Veritek. But there were some other members of the team that maybe were threatened I might take their position or didn't go out of their way to welcome. So, without calling anyone out in particular, the Red Sox team itself was not super welcoming. That being said, Terry Francona is my favorite manager I've ever played for because he goes out of his way to make you feel like you can run through a wall and then you want to for him. So I don't, without, saying anything too negative, does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
All right, to the Schuberts. Wait a minute. You got Maddie?
There, I'm unmuted now.
Great.
We're good. More of a comment than a question. I recently turned 30, so not the right age bracket for the book, but closer than probably many of
Yes,
the
much
others
closer.
on the call. But I just wanted to say I grew up with a Jewish dad and a Catholic mom. And I always joke they raised me Jewish because they arranged for a priest and a rabbi to to officiate their wedding. And the rabbi showed up and the priest didn't. So choice was kind of made then, but also, and so they chose for us more than us choosing. But my brother and I would both affirm that we very much identify as Jewish. But we were definitely the only kids at Sunday school with like Easter candy and the only kid talking about, yeah, our Hanukkah presents and our Christmas presents. So we still did both because my mom has a big family. So Christmas was always like a family event more than a religious event. So a lot of the things in your book resonated with me. And I just remember growing up, there was nothing talking about growing up in interfaith households at the time, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so it's just really nice to see something that, while different from my experience, there's still, and I'm definitely not an athlete. You can ask anybody on this call, not an athlete, but that still resonates with my experience as well. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it means something to you.
Yeah, and I'm Maddie, and this is my dad, Jeff, Jewish dad, has his question.
Does
Hello.
everybody ask you if you know Sandy Koufax?
Everybody, yeah. So there's like a list of 10 questions I get asked pretty much every time, and I do this a lot, and because I love it, I really get a kick out of this. And every time I do this, I make sure to say like my Judaism and my pride in being a Jewish man at this point is community first. So thank you guys. Seriously, thank you all for showing up on a Sunday morning. You being here means the world to me. It really does. Even before like any relationship with spirituality that I have, it's really community first. The questions that I typically get that land, I've come up with how to answer them, right? Where that it gets a good response. We'll get the question typically, well, were some of the players Jewish? Did some of them have Jewish heritage but maybe weren't practicing? I get that question a lot. And my go-to answer is that when we first got together, we got into the hotel and we just had a group circumcision, and then it was all taken care of.
Good answer. Good answer.
I do not know Sandy Koufax to answer your question, but part of our trip to Israel, we went on a graffiti tour of Tel Aviv, and if you've seen the documentary, it's a pretty cool scene where we got to partner with one of the more famous graffiti artists and do a Sandy Koufax mural on the streets of Tel Aviv.
Very
And
cool.
then the very rich man that sponsored our trip to Israel then bought that wall and had it shipped to his office in Chicago.
Of course.
A giant wall. It's insane.
All right. Other questions? Mark. Wait. I'll unmute you. Mark, go ahead.
Good morning, Ryan. Having spent the past 60 years involved with athletics, meaning I was a little kid at 3 years old playing ball in the front of the house. I'm not that old yet. The last 24 of them have been in athletic administration. Prior to that, before I became an athletic director, I was an athletic trainer. So I have been around in all aspects of athletics, all very challenging. The biggest thing in listening to your story that I've seen similar is teams bring everybody together. When you're a member of a team, your religion doesn't matter. It takes that boundary away. And actually, the last 7 years, I've been an assistant athletic director at a private Catholic school in the Chicago area. So I've seen all aspects of athletics, but it's the bond that brings the team, and it takes all the barriers away, and it's so important in our society. The reaction for Team Israel, as you're talking, and I remember reading about it. Obviously, most of my life world is sports, and 2 of the 3 kids, my kids were athletes. My youngest is majoring in sports media right now, so I mean his career path is hopefully to be around sports. Which again, same thing, like it brings this common thing. So I'm not surprised of what you're saying and how things have happened for you, because I just believe that, sports, we always talk about the Olympics, how it brings all the athletes together, and 99.9% of the time it goes very, very well. Veering off a little bit is, so you've embraced the Judaism, which is awesome. And you mentioned earlier that your dad had, disavowed got religion, got God. Where does he sit right now with what you're doing and how you're promoting the Judaism and athletics and stuff like that?
My father is very supportive and also very like non-reactive, I would say. So he feels like he doesn't have a horse in the race religion-wise. So for him, it's, if it works for me, then he's happy with it. Actually, my mom, when she first read the book, she cried. And she got a little defensive of, you were a happy kid. It seems like you're saying you didn't like the way we raised you. And I was like, no, Mom, I know I was a happy kid. But when I started growing up and learning that I can do things differently, I want to do things differently for my kid. Because I felt like by not choosing a side and by picking everything, you can't be everything, but you end up being nothing.
Did
And
your mom?
that's my take on it. And my mom has since come to accept it. And it helps her for me to say straight up, like, I'm not complaining about the way you raised me. I just am making different choices now. So my daughter will be raised Jewish. She had, her baby naming. We're going to give her a bat mitzvah. She'll have a Jewish wedding. She'll go to Sunday school when she's 3 years old. And that's how we want to raise her. And then if my parents want to buy her a Christmas gift, we're going to be like, can you just wrap it in Hanukkah paper, please? So that's where we are.
So good if you want to hear the end of it.
Oh,
You didn't have your mom proof the book before it got published? You got the Jewish mom.
I know. No, well, you know what? The book took me 4 tries to get right. I submitted it to publishers. I heard no multiple times. I actually heard, this was before October 7th too. I actually heard, this book praises Israel, we won't touch it, from publishers. So I ended up ended up having to self-publish it, which, there's a lot more cost involved with that. But like I said, then I could control how it came out, and I'm really proud of the final product.
yeah, we love it. We just love it. Wendy.
Hi, I first of all, thank you for writing this book. I read to young children and totally going to get this book. It's really wonderful. My question has to do with the Israeli team. And one, how was it? What's the process in terms of, did you get a phone call saying, hey, would you like to, or how did that work? And then secondly, who else was on the Israeli team? And did you speak English? Was it mostly like were there other Americans? Was it all Israelis? How, just a little bit more about that.
Yes, great question. That's one of the top three questions that we answer at all of these things. Um, the World Baseball Classic is baseball's version of the FIFA World Cup.
Mm.
So it's the most famous, most competitive, most prestigious tournament in the world. And that came about mostly because baseball wasn't in the Olympics for 13 years. So it was going to be 12, but then with COVID, it ended up being 13. So baseball was not in the Olympics. So there was no big international tournament for baseball at all. The World Baseball Classic was created by Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Union in conjunction. And the goal of the tournament was to grow the game of baseball worldwide. In order to do that, realistically, baseball is not a worldwide sport at this point. Baseball is played in North America and East Asia, and that's kind of it competitively. So, in order to give other countries a chance to compete, which would then hopefully grow the game, because that's the goal, for the World Baseball Classic, you do not have to hold a passport of the country that you are playing for.
Oh.
You just have to qualify to get a passport. And to qualify to get a passport of Israel, you have to be Jewish, have one Jewish parent, or one Jewish grandparent, or marry a Jew. So the leaders of Team Israel Baseball, who essentially are a group of youth baseball dads, realistically, they were like, hey, we can get a bunch of American Jews to represent Israel and take a shot at this tournament. Why don't we take a crack at it and see if we can make it happen? So I got a call in 2012, said, hey, you're Jewish, right? Do you want to play for Team Israel? And I was like, how do you know that? Maybe, right? It was kind of the conversation, right? And in my head, I'm thinking, USA is not recruiting me. So this is my loophole to get into this cool tournament. But in 2012, I was in the major leagues. The qualifier takes place during the month of September. So if you're in the majors, you can't participate. Because the tournament is the top 16 teams in the world only. And Israel was ranked 42 in the world at the time. So in 2012, they put a team together. They failed to qualify. They actually failed to qualify by a heartbreaking loss. They almost made it. So then 2016 rolls around. I get the call again. Hey, you're still Jewish, right? Do you want to play for Team Israel? And I'm like, I'll probably be in the big leagues, but if I'm not, let's do it. And that was the only year in 11 years I wasn't playing Major League Baseball in the month of September. The only one. So I felt like it was Bashert. I play for the team. The qualifier actually was in Brooklyn, ironically enough. It was United Kingdom, Argentina, Israel, and I forget the fourth team. But we had to win the qualifying tournament to play our way in. And we ended up winning the tournament. It's like the play-in round. And that was when people started paying attention. They're like, wait a second, Jews play baseball? And we were like, as a matter of fact, a couple of us do. So then they took us to Israel. We did the whole experience that's in the movie. If you want, it's on Amazon. It's called Heading Home. I don't get anything if you watch it. It's like $10, but it's a good documentary film. And then the tournament was in Korea. And then we actually won the first round and moved on to the second round, and people were freaking out. People were going crazy. It was a big deal at the time. So just to kind of land the plane on answering your question, for the World Baseball Classic, the recruiting process was literally they were looking at people's Facebook profiles, seeing if their mom looked Jewish or if they had a Jewish sounding name. That's actually how they recruited. They would call you up, ask, hey, are you Jewish? And about half the team was, or I'd say maybe 7/8 of the team was Jewish. And we had a few guys that with a Jewish parent or a grandparent that weren't actually Jewish. We had two guys with rosary beads and crosses tattooed on their bodies. We're like, that's a pretty dead giveaway that you're not Jewish. But then when we decided to go for the Olympics, then you do have to have a passport. So a number of us made Aliyah got our passports, including me. My passport actually just expired. I need to renew it because they've asked me to play again in this year's European Championships, even though I've been retired for 2 years, because there's no other Jewish catchers in the whole world.
Wow.
Wow, it's amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Sorry, that was kind of a long answer, but I felt like it deserved
No,
it.
it's just what I was interested in. Thank you so much.
I also want to show people, here's the movie. And it's only $1.99 to rent it, Ryan. So, or you could buy it for 10. So, and I'll put the link right here. It's just a fascinating, all of it is a very fascinating story. And because certainly among Jewish educators, we talk about, which sports stars are Jewish. So they should have come to us because we would have had, or, to Federation, because people are usually located and they know who's Jewish. Other questions? Other questions? Bill,
William has.
there we go.
Or do I have to unmute?
Hey, I
There we
got you.
go.
I got you.
This is great, Ryan. Question for you. Either in the minors, college, pros, did you ever encounter anti-Semitism?
Yes. So yeah, I'm a very positive person. I think you can kind of tell how I handle things even in this brief time. Before 2017, I didn't identify with the anti-Semitism, right? I was very much half and half. So I was able to like matrix dodge bullets, kind of. That was my feel of it. In 2017, I was like, listen, I'm Jewish. I'm not half and half anymore. I'm all in now. And that's the first time anti-Semitism really started to hurt. Because now you're really talking to me. You're not talking to half of me. You're not talking to not really me. You're talking to me. At the same time, I'm a baseball catcher. Okay. Which means I throw my body in front of 90-mile-per-hour pitches on purpose. And when you get smacked in the arm or concussed, get hit in the head, something hits you in the inner thigh, which probably hurts worse than anything else because nothing ever hits you in the inner thigh. That's the worst one. Our catcher mentality is, we call those like badges of honor, right? You get a bruise. If it shows seams, that's awesome. Chicks dig scars. So because that's my history, I have kind of approached anti-Semitism in the same way. And stick with me here for a second. Because my pride in being Jewish is community first. You cannot speak to one Jewish person in this world that has not experienced anti-Semitism. Everybody has in some capacity in their own way. Well, now that I am a proud member of this community, now I have two. So that's my badge of honor that I wear to be a part of this community, because you can't take the good without the bad.
Yeah. Great answer. Great answer.
Let me get the dog. He's freaking out. I'll be right back.
Okay. He's really delightful. And I have some other questions, but if you have other questions. I have a question for you. Do you feel a sense of being a role model or representative for the Jewish community within the world of baseball?
Oh yeah. I'm literally the captain of Team Israel right now.
Wow.
I was getting calls by the Jerusalem Post on October 8th to be quoted. And I stay out of politics, right? I stay out of military strategy, not my business. So I always say, let's remind people what we're fighting for. Like, we are proud to be a part of this community. We are proud to be Jewish. It's a beautiful religion. The rituals help you process life. They help you process tragedy. They help you move throughout the year. The more I learn about Judaism, the more brilliant I think it is as a structure. I think it's just ingenious, and I love it. So I don't talk about like, well, what about the government or what about the military or no, I don't talk about the American military either. I don't talk about American politics either. You either voted for our current president or you voted for the last president. You didn't vote for both. So were you less proud to be American in one of those times? No. Right? So whatever the Israeli government is doing, I don't care. Whatever the Israeli military is doing, I don't care. I support Israel. I support the concept of Israel, the people of Israel.
Yeah, I think that's a wise position to take because otherwise you get caught up in the weeds. Bill, go ahead.
One thing I love about ball players, they can remember a particular instant, the count when they hit the key home run or something was. They remember everything. And my question to you is, your favorite moment in Major League Baseball, a situation where you'll never forget.
July 28th, 2019.
What happened?
Well, July 26th, 2019, I was playing for the Yankees in AAA. And I was playing for the Yankees in AAA very poorly.
Wait,
So I
we
actually
will not let the Red Sox fans on the call delve into you playing for the Yankees.
They can delve into I played very poorly in pinstripes. I played so poorly that I got released from AAA. And on the same day that I was released from AAA, as I got a flat tire and couldn't even leave the parking lot to go move out of my apartment yet, the Cincinnati Reds had 2 injuries at the catching position on the same day. So from being released from AAA, I got called up, signed to the Reds, started in the major leagues the next day, and broke a record for the oldest franchise in baseball. Most RBIs in a franchise debut with the Reds.
Wow.
And
I actually think
Wow.
I think I read that on Wikipedia. Yeah.
The TV announcers for that game were on their game that day. They were on because some of the sound bites from that game, the YouTube clip, are just the best thing that ever happened to me. Because now when I walk on stage, I do motivational speaking at corporate events now, or when I had a podcast. These audio clips from the TV broadcast are gold.
Do you remember the pitchers? Do you remember the pitchers that you hit off of? Got the RBIs?
I hit a double and a homer off Adam Wainwright, and then I hit another homer off of the first reliever that I hit another homer off of. I don't remember him. I remember that I was binge watching the TV show The Good Place at the time. So as I had played very, very poorly that season, and I was watching The Good Place, I remember in my head thinking the quote from The Good Place, "Holy mother forking shirt balls."
Great.
How have your teammates and coaches generally responded to your Jewish identity? Have you found it a point of curiosity, connection, or something else entirely?
My general stance is what I believe, and the member of my community, if you're not going to be supportive, then I don't think you have the right to have an opinion. Right? Like I got a few questions of like, "Oh, I didn't know you were Jewish." And I'm like, "What does it matter to you? I'm the same guy you yesterday. Doesn't change a thing." Yeah. So if they're not going to be supportive, I leave zero space for them to have an opinion in my life.
Well,
yeah. So I heard about how Hank Greenberg used to handle it by like ruffling some feathers and grabbing people's shirts. He was, physically imposing man. I think of it more as, me and my wife early in our relationship, we've been married for going on 12 years now. Early in our relationship, I was a little bit of a playboy, right? I was, this is a long time ago, but I was a little bit of a playboy, and I had to look, I was a green light for everybody. And she had to be like, if you're with somebody, you're a red light for everyone else, right? Stop. I'm taken, red light. So I think of it as like green light, yellow light, red light. Like you can start with a yellow light. It's gonna turn red real fast if you want to have the wrong conversation with me. I'm not a green light for that kind of talk.
I like that. I like it. Bill, go ahead.
Sandy Koufax was famous for refusing to pitch on Yom Kippur. Question: if you were in the majors right now and you made it to well, I guess now it'd be in the playoffs. You wouldn't be in the World Series because it happened so late. But would you refrain from playing? Let's say you're the starting catcher for a championship team. Would you refuse to play on Yom Kippur?
Probably not. Probably not. And I'll tell you. Let me give you some context here. I never established myself as a guy that got to have a choice in the major leagues, right? I was always on the bubble. The reason I played for 8 teams is because 7 teams were willing to let me play for someone else. So I never got to that point where I was like so confident and comfortable in my position that I could dictate to the coach when I was going to play or not. Also, I have a competing story for you of Sean Green, who I think everyone is very proud of as a Jewish role model, right? Everyone here agrees they're proud of Sean Green and how he handled it. Okay. Sean Green was playing for the Dodgers when Yom Kippur it landed one year. And he asked his rabbi, he said, "Rabbi, we actually have a night game and a day game. So we have 2 games on Yom Kippur. What should I do? Should I play the night game? Should I play the day game? Should I play neither? Should I play both?" And the rabbi said, "Let me think on this and I'll get back to you tomorrow." The rabbi comes back. He says, "Sean, you should play in the day game, but not the night game." And Sean goes, "Why? Is it like more sacred to not play at night?" And the rabbi said, "Because you hit 50 points better during the day."
Very pragmatic.
You got good stories. Good stories. What are your thoughts on the visibility and representation of Jewish athletes in professional sports today?
That's a big question. What do you mean?
Like whether they, they come out as very proud to be Jewish, if they're identified as Jewish, if they slink back into the woodwork, are they representatives? Because again, the Jewish community is going to seek them out no matter what they do. And, some are like you and are fabulous spokespeople and talk with the community, and some of them, not as much.
So just like there's no one way to be Jewish that's correct versus incorrect, I think there's no one way for an athlete to be like in this regard. I mean, Alex Bregman was bar mitzvahed and is very proud to be Jewish. Never spoke about it once, never wore a Star of David until October 7th, and then he was moved, and it changed kind of how he represents now. I think everybody has to approach it in their own way where they're comfortable. The thing that people have a really difficult time understanding is that to be a professional athlete, you have so much that you have to deal with and contend with already, right? Like someone is coming to take your job every single day. You need to be one of the best 30 in the world at your position. Think about that. Has anybody on this call been the top 1,000 at anything?
Not that we know of.
Think about how good you have to be at all times. And then you have the media. If you make a mistake, you have to talk about it on TV. You have to explain yourself on national television. There's so much pressure to be perfect, to be excellent, to represent billion-dollar brands in these teams the right way. So then you add on the pressure of, well, right now it's not a very popular time to be Jewish. Let me take up that fight also. It's so like I understand where people are hesitant to add more conflict to their plate. And then a guy like Bregman, right? A guy like Bregman who has now established himself, now he's gotten paid. Now there's less fight. Now it's a little bit easier for him to take up that mantle, right? A guy like me, yet for me, it was a natural evolution of when I played for Team Israel, when I found my Judaism. But from the outside, you could also say, well, you reached the point in your career where you had fought all the other fights, and now this was a new one that you could start fighting also, right? So it's not an easy thing to do all the time, and I would be hard pressed to blame anyone for not taking on extra burden.
Yeah. I think you really said it out for us. And really, obviously you have a different insight and a different view of it, and it makes us definitely more sympathetic and certainly can see and value even more what you have done. So looking back on your career, and you're still, hopefully you'll be playing for Israel this year. What message or insight would you offer to young Jewish athletes aspiring to play professional sports? And let me just tell you, everyone in our Hebrew school, either they or their parents think that they're going to be in professional sports in just a couple of years.
I'm always the encourager, right? I'm always the encourager that realistically, no one at that little league is going to play in the big leagues. Realistically.
I wish you could come and say that to them.
That's what I'm going to say. If we're going just basically based on the numbers, no one's going to make it. That being said, somebody is.
Yeah.
And we don't know which one it is yet. When I was 8, no one would have thought it was going to be me. When I was in high school, no one would have thought it was going to be me. Even in college, no one would have thought it was going to be me. But it's going to be someone. So if we don't encourage everyone to give it their all and to try and to play for the right reasons, right? Because most of them are never going to play, they can play for the other things. Learn how to win and lose and share, right? Learn how to be a part of a team. Learn how to work towards something bigger than yourself. Learn how to be a good citizen. There's so much you can learn from sports that don't result in doing it as your job for 20 years that it's worth doing. And for the one person that will make it, that we don't know who it is yet, they need someone to play against.
Okay. Maddie.
Yes, one of the things you've been saying a lot is like being half and half, which I also heard that growing up. And I very vividly remember my 5th grade religious school teacher. So that gives it away for everybody. But saying to me, Maddie, you're a person, not a coffee creamer. You're not half and half. You can't. And so I just wonder on the flip side of, feeling very divided, if as you've chosen, really to commit to Judaism, if you've ever gotten pushback or felt like you're not Jewish enough.
No, one of the beautiful things about Judaism is that there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. I actually kind of don't love the process of someone that wants to convert being such a pain in their keister, right? They make it really hard for someone that wants
We call my mom a
convert.
common law Jew because she spends more time at the synagogue than, so she's a common law Jew.
It's like they're asking someone that converts to be way more Jewish than anyone that's actually Jewish, right? Or the same way, like people that want to become citizens of the United States need to know all this trivia that none of us know. Or like, who was the 32nd president? I don't know. But yeah, if you want to be in, you're in, right? As far as I'm concerned, like as long as you have good intentions, like we're a very welcoming people.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Alice.
Absolutely.
Wait. Let me unmute you. Go, Alice.
Ryan, when were you recruited by Major League Baseball? At what point in your career?
I got drafted in 2008 after my junior year of college.
So had Yale done really well? I mean,
Yale was ranked 270th in Division I when I was there.
Oh, wow.
There are 271 Division I teams.
Oh, geez. So do you have any idea how you were noticed when you were on a team that was not doing that well?
I broke every record in the record book.
Oh, very good.
Except for stolen bases and triples, because I run very slow.
Thank you.
Well, Ryan, you've given us so much to think about today. We all know someone who wants to read this book, who needs to read this book, and I'm just going to be thinking about it. It was absolutely delightful morning. Thank you everybody for being here, and we'll see you when you're playing for Israel.
Awesome. Nice to meet everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Great session. Thank you so much.